Welcome to What's Your Mount Rushmore podcast with hosts Mark Duvel and John Hanson.
Are you kidding me?
Two old friends and knuckleheads discussing and covering their top four choices for any and all topics, making up their Mount Rushmore selections each week. Nothing is off limits. As you listen, remember, we always want to know, what's your Mount Rushmore?
Hey kids, we've got a really timely episode for you here. We're excited, as always. It's the What's Your Mount Rushmore podcast, and man, we're looking forward to this one. My name is John Hanson.
I'm the other goon with a tune, and I'm Mark Duvel. I'm the other.
What?
I'm the other host here. This one is very timely. John is spot on with that. We are going to tackle something that's going to be part of everyone's summer, and that is we're going to put together our What's Your Mount Rushmore. And this week, our topic is Summer Olympians.
Yes.
This is all time. And what better way? I mean, I don't know about you, the listener. I know John and I definitely love watching the Olympics. It's just one of those kind of special things. It comes every 4 years per its season, and then every 2 when you rotate in the winter versus summer. So always just kind of fun to watch the U.S. compete. And just fun to watch a lot of the different events that you normally wouldn't see other than at the Olympics. So for that, it's always kind of fun.
There's a lot of sports that you do only see at the Olympics. That's true. And over the years, I've tried to think about which is my favorite, the Winter Olympics or the Summer Olympics. Sometimes I lean towards winter, sometimes summer. I think at the end of the day, the one that I like the most is the one that's coming up next.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
You know, because the Winter Olympics, winter is still a couple of years away, but we have the Summer Olympics knocking on our door right now. So this will be, it'll be a fun summer. It'll be fun watching that the next few weeks.
I would never think to represent or talk on behalf of most. This is on behalf of me only. But it's funny because of how much vested interest you have over the Olympics, but yet some of the topics, some of the sports, some of the competitions, I really don't give a shit about until it's the Olympics.
Oh, absolutely, most of them.
I don't follow. So, some of the things that you watch, you're so into it, and I think maybe that's why the Olympics are special.
Yeah,
because it's not something you watch every weekend, throughout the year. No. Every year. I mean, it only comes, every 4 years, and you get to watch it and cheer on the new athletes, and some return and some are chasing records. And I don't know. It's just always been entertaining. I'm going to kick it off, but I'm going to kick it off with a question, because the very first one I have on my list, I'm going to just flat out get it out there and ask you if this athlete is on your list, because if it's not, I'm just going to close my laptop and end this podcast right now.
Oh wow, that's tempting. Even if the person's on my list, I might say no just to put an end to it. But
there's your out.
Put a fork in this bitch.
So I got to assume do you have Michael Phelps on your Mount Rushmore?
Yes, I do. The podcast survives.
All right, because it's like if you didn't, then what the hell are we even doing here? That's not just to you. That's literally to anybody listening. Anybody listening. If you don't have Michael Phelps on your Mount Rushmore of Summer Olympians, what the hell is the matter with you?
Yeah.
It's not even a debate. There's not even a debate to be had here.
It's like saying you don't have Tom Brady on a Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks.
Exactly.
Goat or no goat. But it's like saying you don't even have him on the Mount Rushmore. So
yeah, you're saying he's not in the top 4 of with his list of accomplishments, which obviously we're going to get into right now. How do you debate it? Why it's not debatable is he has the most Olympic medals of any athlete of any. It doesn't matter winter or summer. No one has more medals than this joker. I mean, I can only imagine what this guy's trophy room in his house looks like. He's just that guy. He was scientifically designed to be a world champion, just a swimmer. And 23 gold medals. Look how many people trade off their name their whole life because they win a gold medal.
Yeah, good point.
This son of a bitch has won 23 of them.
Phelps must be lying in about third or fourth position at the moment. Cabbage still leading for Serbia. Is it going to be the seventh hurdle that he's going to fall at? He's coming back. He's coming back very strongly, Michael Phelps. Surely he can't do this from this space. Michael Phelps is coming back in 5. Is he going to get the touch? No, he's not. Oh, no! He's got it! Oh, he's got it! Oh, Michael Phelps! Tight. Oh, he's tight. Oh, my word. No, he's not, Adrian. He's got the gold. 50.58. Michael Phelps, 1/100th of a second. I cannot believe he's just done that. Michael Phelps was absolutely nowhere with 10 meters to go. He did exactly the same in Athens 4 years ago.
Yeah, he's the all-time leader. No other Olympian has 23 gold medals, and which makes sense because how the hell could you? How could a human being do that?
Exactly, but he did it. He's got 28 medals total, but 23 of them are gold. So we'll focus on that because it just almost becomes incomprehensible how someone has done this. I mean, he won 8 of those gold medals at one Olympics in 2008.
For 4 different Olympics in a row, he was the top medal winner. So no other athlete won more medals than he did, and he did it 4 Olympics in a row. I mean, that's kind of the thing that differentiates him. There's a lot of athletes and even some on my list who are really, really good for 1 or 2 Olympics, but he did it for a long time and he was just always there. And he almost felt like he could keep going. It's like, why did he bother retiring? He was still winning medals in his last Olympics.
Yeah. Again, like I said, he was scientifically engineered to be what he became. I will say this, though. This was always like a big thing that kind of circled around him, which I kind of thought was funny, was that when he was kind of in the heart of his training for competitions, obviously mostly the Olympics, but this dude was consuming 8,000 to 10,000 calories a day because he's burning that much fuel by being in the pool damn near. Who knows how many hours a day he would train.
When I was in high school and shortly after high school, I was probably eating 8,000 to 10,000 calories a day, because I was losing so much weight daily just from all the calories we were burning inside the water. And I literally was shoveling food into my mouth just to make sure I was maintaining weight. It was brutal.
I do think it's funny, though, that he's also tied to being a marijuana user.
For real? Damn, it must be true.
What an ideal situation for someone with the munchies.
Yeah, because you get the munchies and you go out in the pool for a few hours and burn off all those Doritos.
Yeah, I'm sure that's not obviously what kind of fuel he's putting in the body, but I don't think it would matter. He could eat the world's worst diet, but if you're in the pool 5 to 8 hours a day swimming.
Well, and some athletes, when they retire, football players are sort of known for this. Yeah, even maybe baseball players, but they get a little chubby after they retire because they're probably still eating a lot of those same things they ate before, but they're not working out, they're not exercising, they're not burning calories. But I have a feeling that that won't happen to him. I think he just has that type of body that his metabolism will always be strong, and I'm guessing he still swims and exercises here and there, maybe not as aggressively, of course, but it's hard for me to imagine him ever getting fat.
It would be kind of an odd thing to see a chubby Michael Phelps. Because every time you see him, he's got there's zero fat on him, nothing.
Yeah,
he's just a big, long, lanky, strong-looking dude.
Did you know when he retired from swimming, he considered being a pro golfer? He was actually a very good golfer and considered.
I have heard that. I don't know much about it, but I have heard that he is a good golfer. Like he plays a lot in a lot of like pro-ams and wanted to truly like maybe scratch that itch.
And I don't know if he ever actually scratched that itch officially, or if it was just something he thought of. But I do know that he holds a record in golf, if you can believe it, a world record, by the way, in golf, and that is he sank the longest putt in live television history.
Huh? Really?
You're so in a pro-am event that happened to be on live TV, he sank a putt that was 159 feet long.
Oh my God.
That's more than half of a football field. And he drained that putt.
Where the hell was this green? What golf course was that at?
Yeah, obviously it was a monster green. Yeah, you're right. That's a good point. Yeah, where the hell was that green? That's a big green. But it almost makes you wonder if it was set up that way. But the point is he made it, and he made it on live TV. So there's no There's no denying it that it happened. He actually lives here in Paradise Valley, Arizona, which is where a lot of rich people live. Quick side note: people think of Scottsdale as a place where there's a lot of money here in Arizona, but Paradise Valley takes it to the next level. It's its own little region in Phoenix. And there have been times where I've driven through Paradise Valley on the way to a meeting or an appointment or something, and I've driven by something that I swore was a big resort. And then I get to where I'm going and I'll look up on Zillow. Oh no, that was a $30 million house I just drove by. And that was not a resort. I'm not saying he lives in one of those places, but he's got some bucks if he lives in Paradise Valley.
By being a good swimmer, it certainly provided him a good living, as it should, though, when you're you have that kind of success in the Olympics and over a stretch of 4 different Olympics.
He actually was in 5 different Olympics.
Was he? Jeez.
His first Olympics, he was only 15 years old. He didn't win a medal in it. It was in 2000.
What a loser.
Yeah, what a schmuck. I'm surprised they let on the team next time.
Hey, the kiddie pool's over there, jerky.
Yeah.
I think we had to get that one out of the way because, like I said, if we would have came out of this and you're like, yep, nope, I don't have him on my list. I'd be like, well, then who the hell is?
It was a no-brainer. But so that was your first pick. That was my first pick. That leads us right back to your door.
Ooh, okay. The next one I'm going to pick is the only one on my list that does not and has not represented our own country, the United States. This is an outsider, so to speak.
Huh.
But he's just that impressive, I couldn't ignore it. And he is Usain Bolt. This dude's just, again, scientifically engineered. And what's really funny about it is him being a professional runner, a competitor at the level that he became. That's never even really what he wanted to do. He actually wanted to be a professional cricket player.
Whoa!
What? Wow.
Yeah. Because, again, he's from Jamaica. So that's the country that's, obviously not us, but it's hard to not root for him. And the guy can run over 27 miles per hour. He holds the world record in the 100 meter. And when he broke that record, his shoes were untied.
Wow. And probably on fire.
They get away first time. Tyson Gay right alongside Usain Bolt, but here he goes, streaking away already. It's Bolt all the way. He's looking round at Gay. Watch the clock. It's goal for Bolt, and again he's done it again. A new world record for Usain Bolt. They say lightning doesn't strike twice.
9.58 to run 100 meters.
Damn,
that's just not normal, And he's an 8-time gold medalist. His nickname is the Lightning Bolt for very obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And again, just such an impressive guy. And he's always seemed like such a cool guy. I know there was always a clip of him. And even though he's from Jamaica, it was after an Olympics. A reporter was trying to interview him after a race. And he's talking to the camera. And off in the distance, he can hear the Star Spangled Banner. Our national anthem start to play, and he stopped the reporter to show respect. Like, no, let's not continue the interview. Your anthem's playing. And
wow.
I love that he's the one who did it, not the reporter who is an American.
Yeah. Wow. Well, he probably recognizes that he has made and will continue to make a lot of money in endorsements in America. He wouldn't make nearly that kind of money if he was just a Jamaican athlete. He is a worldwide athlete, and I'm sure he's probably, even for all we know, probably even has a house somewhere in the United States.
I have to assume that's the truth. But yeah, he just seems like a really fun guy who just is really talented and a very just physical specimen.
Yeah. Cool. I love it. You got anything else to add about him?
No, just that he deserves to be on Mount Rushmore, man. I mean, he's the fastest human there is.
I'll dive into my number 2 pick then. She is an American, and she is, you mentioned at the top of the show, there are sports within the Olympics that we only really see during the Olympics, and we don't pay any attention to them outside of those couple of weeks every 4 years. And then honestly, in this sport, I don't even really watch it much when the Olympics are going on. It's gymnastics, and it's Simone Biles. And I don't watch the Olympics gymnastics. I don't watch the gymnastics outside of the Olympics, but you can't deny what she's done. And she's the only person on my list that is a current Olympian. If you combine, so she's been participating in the Olympics. She started in 2016, again, 2020, 2024. Now this year, combining her world championship events and the Olympic events, which are different types of medals that they can earn. She has a total of 37 medals. It makes her the most decorated gymnast in history from any country in any era. She's got 7 Olympic medals. 4 of them are gold medals. And of course, she competes both in some individual and team events. I mean, she still dominates right now. She just won gold medals in the U.S. championships this year. So I can only assume in the upcoming Olympics that are starting here shortly that she's going to win some more medals. She's going to add to her totals and keep going. And gymnasts generally start when they're in their teenagers. They wrap up in their 20s sometime. It's hard to tell if she'll keep on competing after this Olympics, but I think she's in her late 20s now, so it'd be probably hard to imagine somebody in their 30s competing against the rest of those. So she may not be back next year, but she's just dominated for so many years now that I just had to include her. She actually there's a couple of moves and elements that she does. I don't know anything about gymnastics, to be completely honest with you, but I read that she has moves that they simply call the Biles move. And there's the Biles 1 and the Biles 2 that she does. And the reason they call them that is because she is the only person in the world that can actually do them.
Wow.
They're so difficult that she pulled off she invented a maneuver as part of her routine that nobody on earth can do except for her. So they're like, well, we got to name it after her, I guess. And that's why one of the reasons why she does so well is because she can do these things that nobody else can do.
Well, she's a total powerhouse. She's a badass as it relates to gymnastics. I mean, she's kind of brought it to a different level, and that explains exactly what you were just saying. She's doing things that we haven't seen before. I mean, and it's kind of in general a world that you normally don't see new things. It's always kind of been. It's a lot like figure skating that way. It's greatness is greatness. Not to take anything away from that, but when you start, doing brand new things that physically haven't been done before, hard to not, take mention or notice to that.
Yeah, when you're doing something that they're forced to name it after you because nobody else can do it, that's saying something. So yeah, I imagine she'll keep on competing. They'll obviously do well this year. Who knows? Maybe she'll come back again in 4 years. She's going to come to an end at some point. She's a likable person too. She's kind of become one of the faces of the Olympic team across all the sports, and rightfully so. She's a likable person.
And and you're right about the gymnastics thing. It actually becomes like must-see TV. When they're doing the all-around competition and the team competition and the individual stuff. That's like the really good primetime stuff that the Olympic coverage offers.
Yeah.
And you're right, because I don't know. There's who knows how many different competitions there are on any given calendar year. Unless you're really into Olympics, you're just not paying attention to it. But once it gets to the platform, the size of the Olympics, it's the spotlight event.
It is. Yeah, you're right. That's the event that always gets the primetime TV coverage. And some of the lesser events, you never see TV time at all. But that's one reason why maybe I think the gymnasts and some of the track people and the swimming, those are probably the top 3 in terms of getting that primetime coverage. And that's why we know a lot of their names.
Yeah, because you don't tune into NBC, which I don't know how long they've had the rights now. It seems like forever. Who knows? I remember hearing at one point like the contract they signed to have the Olympics, and it's like through the rest of our natural lives type of thing. But you'll never tune into NBC on a Thursday night at 7 p.m. and see archery.
No.
You're just won't. Not.
Yeah. So, or judo.
Yeah, you're not going to watch the marathon.
Yeah.
It's just not the way it is.
If you want to see those, you got to tune in at 4 a.m. Watch it live.
And rightfully so, though, just again, to kind of use that parallel comparison, like to figure skating as it relates to gymnastics, it's because so much is based on perfection. Like any little mistake, that's why I've always felt so bad. That's what makes, I guess, depending on what event you are and what you participate in the Olympics, I've always had a soft spot for these poor athletes. Imagine training to the level that they do, and now it's your moment. And you just have one little thing that goes wrong, and then that costs you a medal, a gold medal, any medal.
Yeah.
It's just what a weird life to live that you hang on that much of a swing from a small millisecond.
I mean, it's not professional sports, the Olympics, of course, as we know pro sports, but at the same time, it really has that same level. It's if anything, it's almost more intense than what you think of pro sports to be, because you have that one moment in that one event And you, like you say, a split second or millisecond or one tiny move that you didn't quite nail is the difference between a gold and sometimes not even a medal at all. I mean, it's not like a gold and a silver. You might bump all the way off the top three and not get anything. And
over a tenth of a second.
And that's 4 years of your life preparing for that tenth of a second,
Oh, poor you.
I'm going to stay in that lane then. I'm going to go with more of a nostalgic version of that pick. And I'm going to bring us back to the 1984 Summer Olympics. And I'm talking about little 4'9" Mary Lou Retton, nicknamed
nice.
America's Sweetheart. And by God, she was certainly that. And again, I'm a youngster back in 1984, but it was still a very big thing to watch the Olympics on TV. And she kind of stole that Olympics. Her and one other athlete, which we may get to, depending on whose list. But Mary Lou Retton was just that girl next door, this little 16-year-old when she was competing in the 1984, Olympics. She won the gold medal for the individual all around. And then she also won 2 silver and 2 bronze medals. And, she's just one of those people that really put female, women's gymnastics on the map in a very big way. Especially in the United States, because that had never been done by a female gymnast before. And, some of that obviously then turned her into a little celebrity with a lot of commercial success. She did a lot of endorsements after the 1984 Olympics. She was the first gymnast to be on the cover of a Wheaties box. Wasn't the first female athlete, but she was the first gymnast, male or female. That's what's kind of crazy. She's born in West Virginia, Fairmont, West Virginia, in 1968. And again, with some of still trading on her name, and rightfully so. I think it was back in 2018. She was on Dancing with the Stars.
Wow.
So she was still relevant enough to be, after 1984 all the way to 2018. She still has that name that's very recognizable.
Oh, for sure.
No, obviously she's had a rough last 12 to 18 months. I don't know if you've heard about that. She almost died in ICU. She had a really weird, rare form of pneumonia.
Oh yeah.
And her daughter was really trying to help her out with setting up a GoFundMe because of the medical expenses to just kind of keep her alive. It sounds like she is going to come out of it. She's not fully recovered, but she's out of the ICU. So
she was a pop culture phenomenon after that Olympics. Yeah, I remember her really well. I was also a young kid, and I mean, she was everywhere. She popped up on TV shows and sitcoms and, co-hosting things. And like you said, she did a lot of commercials and endorsements. She was definitely one of the most popular athletes of the 80s in any sport, man or woman. She would be in that conversation of maybe the top 10 most popular athletes of the entire decade. And most of it, just because of that 84 Olympics. I remember that really, really well. And I had heard that I'd forgotten all about that she had that health scare. Did you say she was born in 1968?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to do some quick math. That makes her about 56 this year. Sometime this year she turns 56. To me, I still think of her as that 16-year-old girl,
I know. Isn't that weird? That's like a permanent stamp in your memory that's who she is. This
exactly.
little... I mean, because part of it was also her charisma.
Oh, yeah.
Her smile, just the way she carried herself.
She was, again, mentioned it with Simone Biles. Mary Lou Retton was one of the most likable people on the planet. And I think that's why she became such a big star. I guess I had thought about her briefly, but didn't put her on my list. But I'm glad you did, because she probably deserves that to be there.
Because she's just such a face of the Olympics for Americans. I can't ignore that, and so that's why I felt she deserved a spot.
And she's tiny. She's a tiny human.
she was. That's what I think what made her so captivating. She was this little just spark plug.
Yeah.
Of positivity and energy, and then pulled it off and did it. So Mary Lou, we salute you.
Mary Lou, I love it. My next pick, this would be my third pick. And this goes back to the 80s as well. This person also competed in the 84 Olympics. She had probably a bit more success in the 88 Olympics. People just know her as FloJo. And
her fingernails.
Yes, and her massive fingernails. Florence Griffith Joyner was her full name, but FloJo is what everybody called her.
So I'm looking at rock videos, Knock knee bimbos walking like hoes. You can have them bimbos. I'll keep my women like FloJo. A word to the thick soul sister.
Yeah, those fingernails. How the hell did she run with those? I mean, that's got to be create some kind of
running. How did she
pick her
get
nose?
by? How did she navigate through a day?
Yeah.
Forget running.
Well, yeah,
How'd
that
she open
too.
a door?
Well, she's FloJo. She had somebody open doors for her.
That's true. That.
She was the fastest woman on earth, and there is absolutely no denying that. She won. Again, she competed in the 84 Olympics and the 88 Olympics. She won a total of 3 gold medals. She won 2 silver medals. She actually set a world record in the 100-meter sprinting and the 200-meter sprint in 1988. She set both of those records in the same year, and both those records stand today.
Wow.
She's still all these years. Think about how much pro sports has changed and how much faster football players are and how much stronger football and NBA players. The games have changed. You always talk about that. You can't compare, Larry Bird's generation to today's generation. Well, here's somebody who in 1988 set 2 records, not 1, 2 records that still stand today. So to say that she's the fastest woman on earth or was the fastest woman on earth is no exaggeration. She was also kind of a fashion icon. You mentioned the nails. She designed uniforms for the Indiana Pacers that they wore in 1989. So
Did not know that.
No, I did not know that either. I just happened to look that up.
This is going to sound dumb. So she was definitely on my short list. No doubt about it, of someone I was considering putting on my Mount Rushmore picks. But I don't mean to sound like a fool. Is she died?
She died. Yeah, she died.
I feel like I remember that, but I have no prep or info in front of me, but I feel like she's no longer with us.
She died, probably 25 years ago. It was in the late 90s, I believe.
Really?
Yeah, she died young. I think she had complications from epilepsy, if I remember right.
What? I didn't know that.
She
okay, no wonder it's a little fuzzy in the memory. It was that long ago?
Yeah, it was. She died. I think she died in her sleep. It was a big deal, obviously, when it happened because she was still in her 30s when she died. So obviously died young, and even at that point in time, her records had been standing for probably 10-ish years or so. But it's sad that she didn't get to live these extra 20 some years and see that her records are still there. I mean,
no kidding.
I mean, it's amazing that she still owns those records, and sad that she didn't live long enough to enjoy it. Yeah, sad there in that sense, but definitely a top Olympian. When you have an Olympian that's got records that stand 30 plus years, how do you not consider them for a Mount Rushmore?
And again, because of her kind of just flash, she had that kind of pop culture impact too.
She was flashy, no doubt about that. Yeah.
No, that's a great pick, man. And again, I did not realize that she passed away that young. That's horrible to try to get your hands around.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna jump into my final pick then, because it's very kind of relatable to FloJo. It's not far off.
Oh.
And my final pick is Jackie Joyner-Kersee.
Oh,
and
sure.
She also has 3 golds, two bronze. She's got a silver. She is a female athlete that competed in the 1984, the 88, the 92, and the 96 Olympics. I know Sports Illustrated for Women, they voted Jackie Joyner-Kersee the greatest female athlete of all time. And hard to dispute it. She's got a great resume, a great personality.
Yeah.
She was like a huge advocate for female track and field and running and just overall fitness.
I think she still is a lot of those things.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I didn't know until kind of just doing a little quick dive on, just making sure I had some stats right. Her name, she's named after Jackie O, the first lady.
Oh, didn't know that.
Didn't know that until I kind of saw a little bit about her origin and where she came from and how she was raised and all that. But yeah, that's how she got her name, Jackie, was from Jackie O.
Interesting. Yeah, and she's a sister-in-law to FloJo, I believe, right? I think that one of them married the other one's brother or something like that.
Yep. Yeah, so that's why it's such a kind of a close tie, easy transition to go from FloJo to Jackie Joyner-Kersee.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But again, to have that longevity, considering, 84 all the way through 96 to be competing in the Summer Olympics, that right there is a stat that how many people can say that on planet Earth? That you've competed in 4 Olympics and had real success, real influence, and just an overall likable person.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, she is. She's very likable. I think that her impact on that track and field and probably particularly the women's sports and the women track and field definitely has been monstrous. And she's a great pick. Yeah, her and FloJo you could handcuff those two together because they both were very dominant around the same area, same period of time. Of course, FloJo didn't go on quite as long and then passed away, but other than that, they were very closely tied.
Yeah, and again, just a huge part of the history of the Summer Olympics for us Americans because of their success, and especially the 80s and 90s.
Indeed. Well, all right. Well, I got my last pick up now then, right?
I'm curious because there's one that was on my short list that we haven't talked about, and I'm wondering if it made your actual list. So fire away, Skippy.
What you said teed up this pick because you said Olympians that were, had an impact in the 80s and 90s, and that's what this guy did. It was Carl Lewis.
I had a feeling.
I would say before Michael Phelps came along, there's probably some people that would put Carl Lewis in that conversation of an Olympic GOAT, somewhere. I mean, he not necessarily by numbers. I think there's probably some people that have more total medals than he does, but just as far as his impact on the Olympic Games, he won 9 gold medals and 1 silver medal. He's one of only 6 athletes in history to have won a gold medal in the same individual event in 4 consecutive Olympic Games. So and I wonder if Michael Phelps is in that conversation. Probably. I don't know the exact numbers, but yeah, only 6 people in history from all countries have won a gold medal in the same event in 4 consecutive games. So he definitely had a long career. From the 1984 was his first Olympics through 1996. Speaking of records that stand, he set the record for the indoor long jump in 1984 that still stands today. And that's not an Olympic record because I think it's an indoor. They have separate indoor versus outdoor records, which makes sense because outdoors you're going to deal with wind and other things that might affect
factors.
Yeah, so you can't necessarily put the two. It's apples and oranges, I guess. But so he has a record again that still stands today. In 1984 was 40 years ago, and Sports Illustrated named him the Olympian of the century for the 1900s. So that's a pretty damn good accolade for him. He was such an amazing athlete, actually, that he was drafted by both the Chicago Bulls and the Dallas Cowboys in 1984. And this is despite him never playing college football or college basketball. He didn't play. He didn't play those sports, but he was such a great athlete.
My God,
these teams thought, you know what? We can teach him the sport. He's too athletic to not think about it. He never ended up playing for either one of those teams, but he was on their radar to the point where they actually drafted him. And you almost wonder if some of that was a publicity thing too, because in 1984 he was one of the more popular athletes in the country. So it might have been a PR stunt. Let's draft Carl Lewis, even though he's not going to actually play.
But I mean, you're right. The 1984 Olympics, he was kind of there was 2 pillars of that Olympics. It was Mary Lou Retton and it was Carl Lewis.
Yeah. And it helps that Olympics was in Los Angeles too. So it was an American Olympics. Had these Americans who dominated. That's why I think it's so memorable to us.
Yep. He's a world class. There's none of his statistics that can be debated. His success, his athleticism, his impact on track and field. The only reason that I kept him off my Mount Rushmore, and in fact, he would have been my 4th spot. So Jackie Joyner stole his spot only because I can't get out of my memory him singing the national anthem. It's so bad.
Oh man.
It's such a stupid reason to leave him off my Mount Rushmore to be an Olympian. But that's how bad that version of our national anthem was.
Oh, poor Carl. Poor Carl.
Stay in your lane, buddy. I don't know what that was. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's not hard to find. Just simply go to YouTube and type in Carl Lewis national anthem and then sit back and start cringing because you will. You'll feel very uncomfortable very quickly.
Ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem.
All right, are we all ready? Oh, say, can you see? And the rockets, red flag. I'll make up for it now. Oh, the land of the free.
Yeah, that was not good. That was not good. You got to feel bad for the guy. I mean, I don't know who told him that they thought he could do that. I don't know what made him think that he could do that.
He shouldn't even be on The Masked Singer.
No, well, he should.
No one knew that was him singing.
He would have been better off having a mask on when he sang that. It would have been better for the whole world.
And again, I can't take anything away from Carl Lewis, but that national anthem, though, that is one real strike against him.
Yeah, a lot of these athletes are memorable for different things, and that's one reason he's memorable. Unfortunately, it's not a good thing.
No, but again, class act though. I mean, he is a good guy, and he's been really good for the Olympics and for just American sports, and especially what we were talking about, track and field.
Yeah, absolutely. He was a beast.
So that's our 4. We just whipped through 4.
That was our 4. Yeah. I do have a couple really short honorable mentions to throw up there. I always feel like we're cheating when we do honorable mentions, but I just have to name these 2 real quick. Do you have anybody you want to name, or should I dive into these?
You dive in. I got one. I'll just throw it out there at the very end. Okay. But I'm curious what you have up your sleeve.
Well, my first one was a swimmer. Her name was Dana Torres, and the reason why she's on my list, she has the 4th most medals of any American in Olympic history, winter or summer. And
sure.
She was a swimmer. She competed, but this is the reason why she has 12 total medals, including 3 of them in her last Olympics, which was in 2008. But the thing that makes me consider her for my Mount Rushmore was the fact that her first Olympics was 1984. She competed in Olympics from 1984 to 2008.
What?
That's insane. She was 41 years old in her last Olympics in 2008, and she still was able to. She still was able to actually medal in that.
She
Olympics.
was in the 1984 Olympics.
She was
as a swimmer.
As a swimmer, I don't know. I don't have facts in front of me about how well she did, but that was. She
doesn't matter.
The fact is, she was there. She was young, obviously, and she had most of her dominance came after that. But I can't imagine that 1984 to 2008. That's like almost a lifetime, and she was in the Olympics all those years. So
I wonder how pruned her feet are.
Yeah, well, her and Phelps, they both have pruned feet. My other quick honorable mention, he only was in 1 Olympics, and he only has 1 medal. It was a gold medal, but it's Sugar Ray Leonard. And I love Sugar Ray Leonard as a boxer. And one of the things that I think is cool about him is that he got his nickname Sugar from an Olympic coach when he was on the Olympic team that one year. People think that he was nicknamed after the old boxer from like the 1950s, Sugar Ray Robinson, but that's not true. It was during the Olympics in 1976 that the coach said, "That boy is sweet as sugar." and the name
clearly
stuck. Yeah. So, but
all
yeah, one medal in 1 Olympics doesn't really warrant Mount Rushmore, but as an athlete, I just had to throw him up there.
Well, and my honorable mention is definitely a little more decorated and a very recognizable name. If you followed the Olympics in the 80s and 90s, I think early 90s, is Greg Louganis as a diver for the U.S.
Yep.
And, and he was just kind of one of those guys. He really represented the Olympics, had a lot of TV time, loaded with accomplishments and the whole shebang. So He didn't make my list, but he was definitely in there.
Yep.
Just like Carl Lewis. Greg Louganis was right there. I had to lock in my 4 and move forward.
Yeah, well, we did. We locked in 4. Actually, with shared Michael Phelps, we have a total of 7 Olympians that we locked in on the mountain, and I'm pretty happy with all of them, mine and yours
too.
Yeah,
and that being said, I know with when people are listening to this, the Summer Olympics are going to be kicked off or will be kicking off soon. And again, it's always just fun TV to watch. It's cool to watch this, whether it's winter or summer. And I'm sure we'll do a winter one at some point too, because that's a whole different list of topics and people to discuss and kind of throw some info and stats around about.
Yeah. So we want to encourage people to share your picks with us. Tell us what your Mount Rushmore of specifically Summer Olympians would be. We post on Facebook. We're on Instagram, YouTube. Let us know in any of those places. Also, you can find any of our past episodes. Maybe some of them should be lost, but for now, they're just in the past.
I tried to lose a few of them, but you found them and put them back online again.
I keep finding them for some reason. And you can find them all at whatsyourmountrushmore.com, our website.
All right, let's go USA. And that being said, We're going to thank our sponsor for this episode, Earl Brown Bowl.
Bye-bye.